So the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, November 26, 2024 is now called to order. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6, adequate notice of the meeting has been provided by submission of notice of the time, date, and location to the Star Ledger on December 5th, 2023, and the Hunterdon County Democrat on December 7, 2023. Notice and, to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting has been posted at North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School, provided to the municipal clerks of Bethlehem Township, Califon Borough, Town of Clinton, Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Glen Gardner Borough, Hampton Borough, Highbridge Borough, Lebanon Township, Tewksbury Township, and Union Township, as well as other interested parties, and posted on the district website. Fire exits are located in the directions indicated. If alerted to fire, please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the nearest smoke-free exit. Please silence your cell phones, and I need a roll call.
Ms. Cagno? Here. Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Ms. Gallo? Here. Ms. Hintz? Here. Ms. Kochet? Here. Mr. McIsaac?
Here.
Mr. Mielek?
Here.
Ms. Reyes? Here. Ms. Salino? Here. Mr. Spencer?
Here.
Ms. Beato?
Here.
And Mr. Farbanish?
Here. Would you like to speak?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I need a call for motion and second to approve agenda items 4.1 and 4.2, which are the minutes from the October 15th, 2024 board meeting and the October 28th, 2024 board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
You got them both? Okay.
I'd like to, I don't know if I do it now, I'd like to make a motion to amend the minutes from one of the meetings.
So we can't amend them.
I could make a motion to amend it.
We still can't amend them, right? We've already decided. Did you want to clarify something on it, and we'll just put it in the record? Because we had this same discussion last time. So at this point, we can't change them. So is there want to make a clarifying statement?
Oh, my understanding was I reached out to the NJSBA, and you are able to amend minutes or make a motion to amend them. And in some cases, they've amended them even the day of, or, you know, I'm not asking to amend an entire section, just to reflect the yay and nay votes, just by yay and nay votes and not by board member names. It only states the no votes on October 28th meeting.
So we're talking about the minutes then that are up for discussion right now then?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So if I may, go ahead, John.
Well, no, that seems like that's the appropriate time to talk about the minutes before we adopt them.
Right. So if I may, and I've had a conversation with the business office today after you asked your question about this.
Okay.
The Open Public Meetings Act does not specify, amongst many of the things that it does not specify, how votes in certain circumstances are transcribed in minutes. Minutes have to reflect the action of the body. And so if you can look at the minutes and from that determine what happened, they are compliant with the Open Public Meetings Act. The practice of the district has been to record votes as they're reflected in the minutes. But I understand going forward, so that there's no question about this, and at your suggestion, minutes will note going forward specific names with yes, specific names with no. So if that is sufficient to address your concern, I don't know if we have to have a further conversation about what to do with these prior minutes. But just so you know, going forward, including tonight, the minutes are going to reflect these members yes, these members no, regardless of whether or not it was a voice vote or a roll call vote.
Wasn't it always yes and no? Am I missing something?
It's always yes and no. The minutes, I'm assuming you're talking about 7, right? 7 only reflects no votes. It doesn't reflect yes votes. Is that the
Yes, it has the no votes and each of the board
members who voted no, but doesn't have yes votes and each of the members who voted yes, right? And obviously you can infer who the yeses were, but it doesn't specifically say it.
Well, only because I've noticed in previous minutes, it's normally yes or no votes, the number of yes votes, the number of no votes. And also in certain minutes, I also noticed that there were times where it had the yes vote, the name, and the weighted vote. So,
Well, that's
Normally-
normally roll call vote, is that
correct,
right? Yeah.
correct, yes, correct, roll
And then
call
it's in
votes.
favor, not in favor. So,
Correct, but in
yeah.
this case, there was a roll call vote and it didn't state.
The percentages? Or
No,
no?
it didn't
This
state.
one only says the votes
Okay,
for
so-
no,
Right.
in lieu of
Okay.
yes and no, and
So-
weighted votes.
So the motion is to reflect the yeses? Is that the request? Are we allowed to amend the minutes? Or, obviously I can infer from this who the yeses are because we had a full roll call.
Well,
and
a
we had
motion to
no's.
amend, you're not amending the actual context of what transpired, what happened. The vote took place, it voted. What she's saying is she wants to see the nays and nays. And if you're going to list the board members, you list them all yes, all no's, or you don't. Do we have and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, are you trying to establish a best practice?
I'm just trying to establish.
Like, what are we doing
What are
moving
we-
forward?
Correct, and like.
So
what-
John's comment moving forward is everything will reflect who voted yes, who voted no, who abstained, right? That's the
Correct.
suggestion?
And that is the outcome. Again, you brought this issue to the table, we had a conversation about it. I think that these minutes are compliant with APMA, and I think our practice has been compliant with APMA, but just so that there's no question, and you don't have to go back and look at who was here to determine who was in the yes or the no, the practice is going to note names going forward.
Is that going to be on every vote now? Unless it's obviously
Yes,
unanimous, we
yes,
wouldn't be naming anyone,
yes,
but yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Are you talking all the roll call votes?
Well, it should be every,
All votes.
Should be all votes.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Do we have to vote on that?
So we need a vote, so I need,
vote on that?
yep, are we going to vote on what? The voting?
You
of
can
the
entertain the
change?
motion if you want to entertain the motion to
Make this change.
amend
So we'll make a motion,
that portion of the minutes, specifically that resolution, to reflect the names
Right.
next to the
So we need
yeses.
a-
That was the request,
so we need
correct?
a motion and a second to
I'm
amend
sorry,
the
what?
minutes.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't hear what you said.
So we're going to make a motion and a second to amend the minutes from the October 28, 2024 board meeting such that section 7, hold on, I gotta get them up. Right, section 7, where there is a motion carried and roll call vote with votes of no, Cagno, Gallo, Reyes, Salino, to also include yes from the remainder of the board. So I need a first and a second.
I'll second it.
Jess, is there a second? Okay, so the motion is not carried. And,
No, there was a motion, and I think there's...
oh, I'm sorry, you made a second. Oh, I'm sorry, I had a first. I didn't hear a second.
She brought the
She
motion.
brought it to the motion.
Which is the first.
She
Oh, I'm sorry, so
seconded.
second. Okay, so I
So there's
guess,
a motion and a
so my
second.
apology, my
If there's no
apologies.
further conversation,
So-
then
Shall I take a voice vote on?
let's take a voice vote. All in favor?
Yes?
Aye.
Any no, any abstentions?
Opposed.
Whoops, any opposed, 2 opposed?
No.
And no?
Any abstentions?
I have a no from Brian Chapman.
Brian,
And Jess.
Beth,
And Beth.
Jess.
Got it.
All right, that motion carried.
And then we still.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't
vote
vote
on
on
the
that, excuse me. So I need, all in favor of, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Just to clarify, what, did we just pass?
We just passed a
Passed-
motion to amend the
passed
minutes from
to amend
last
the minutes.
week's meeting to include yes votes for people who voted yes.
But the idea that from here on out, every vote is going to be not documented yeses and nos and abstains
By name.
by name, every vote, does that need to be passed, or you guys are just doing
That's
that?
best practice.
That is I don't know if I'd characterize it as best practice, but it's an operational issue, and in conversation with the business office, that's going to be the practice going forward.
Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. So I need all in favor of approving the minutes from 4-1, from 4-2. In favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes are approved. Ron, Greg? I'll let you decide who first. Sorry.
All right. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you tonight to Aaron Dorr. Aaron's a senior at North Hunterdon High School, and we're going to recognize him.
Excuse me.
So Aaron is a senior here at North Hunterdon High School, and we're recognizing him for his efforts in organizing a community event that really made a big difference at North. So Aaron, specifically in response to the loss of Sophia, thought to himself, what can I do to make a difference at North? And Aaron, being the baseball player that he is, and I think avid wiffle ball player, came up with the idea of organizing a wiffle ball tournament. So the name of the tournament was Dingers for DeTorres, and it raised money for Sophia's Shining Light Foundation. And I'm just going to read what Sophia's Shining Light does because I don't want to screw it up. So Sophia's Shining Light Foundation honors her legacy by providing grants, scholarships, and events to individuals and organizations that promote inclusivity and care for those who are isolated, overlooked, and underserved. So Aaron had this idea of creating the wiffle ball tournament. He was really the driving force behind it. He rallied his friends, many other baseball players, as well as many seniors, and just also friends of Sophia, and really made that event come true. He worked with, again, Coach Yoakum for that. They made flyers. They ran everything through me, and everything was great. And again, it was through his efforts that it was possible. There were over 50 participants, and the event raised $750. And beyond just the money, it was just a great community event, a great way to people to get together and remember Sophia and, really come together for a good cause. So again, I recognize Aaron for that. And just a little bit more about Aaron, so we learn about him. Aaron is a shortstop on our baseball team. He's a member of our Interact Club. He participates annually in our Friendship Day, which was just earlier this week, Relay for Life, and Relay for Life. Aaron hopes to attend college in the South and major in sports media. On behalf of our school community, we express our gratitude for his leadership and efforts. So Aaron, congratulations. And I believe somebody's taking a picture. Oh, was that? Yes. Aaron over here, certificate in hand, big smile.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm proud to introduce to you Annie Tramatola and Juliana Cometto. They are the co-presidents for our Unified Club, and you may have seen, I believe all of you were sent I'm not in my elf costume. You got the news report. Thank you, Dr. Burgess, for doing that.
There's a December meeting.
Well, it's one of the things that they picked. They picked the elf costume. They do a lot of work behind the scenes getting this all set up, including what ridiculous costume they're going to make me wear to reach their goal amount as far as the fundraising. Thanks to their efforts and the team, the Unified team itself, they raised over $13,000 for Special Olympics New Jersey. The great thing about that is half of that money goes to Special Olympics. The other half comes back to us in our Unified program. So they're helping to keep us going strong and moving forward. The reason why they chose the elf costume was because they are performing Elf the Musical as our Unified Drama Club. And that will be on December 8th and 9th, 7th and 8th. The 7th at 6 p.m. and Sunday the 8th at 2 p.m. I urge you to come out and see one of the shows. It is fantastic. Because of their efforts, we took first place in most money raised and most student involvement. I think we had, with parents and students alone, over 50 of us there at the plunge. And it was a beautiful day. They did a great job. Annie was supposed to get recognized last year for Unified, but we had some things going on, and I'm glad she's back. So I actually have certificates for both of them, both for 2024 and 2023, and I'll be giving that to them Juliana has been, have you done every plunge? I believe you've done at least the
I've done
last two.
3.
You've done 3 of the plunges, so so you really got to see the outfits. And I hardly recognize her without a camera in her hands. She's usually the photographer, everything, and she took a ton of photos at the event itself. And Juliana's looking to go on, hopefully, to Kane University, where she's going to major in pediatric occupational therapy. So we wish her all the best with that. And Annie, we get to hang out. Annie's one of the most popular kids probably at Voorhees High School. And it's a pleasure to always have her around. So that being said, here you go. Thanks for all you do.
Moving on to our board student presenter reports. Sarah?
So recently we had our production of The Addams Family. It was an amazing production. It was the week of Thursday, November 14th. Bunch of super talented students in our cast. It was hilarious. I went and saw it. I absolutely loved it. And as Mr. Peterson just touched on, we have another upcoming production, our Unified Drama Club production of Elf Junior, which is sure to be a very funny show, especially nice and festive for the holidays, so be sure to come out to that. And then also, as we just touched on, the Unified Special Olympics fundraiser, the Splash and Dash. And then on top of that, our Unified Soccer, actually on Sunday, October 20th, they competed in Division 3 for the Unified Soccer Cup, and they took home the gold medal. They were undefeated and won the entire tournament. And then Key Club last week had a Thanksgiving food drive. They do this annually to help local families for the holiday season. Over 1,600 pounds of food was collected, and that's not including the extra food that was collected by one of our English teachers. That food hasn't been weighed yet, but it's estimated that it's going to add around another 400 pounds to the total, which is an absolutely amazing turnout. Our student high school integration program recently held their annual ice cream social, which is just an event we do to check in on how the freshmen are doing and see if they have any questions, just to make sure they're integrating well into high school, and that was also a huge success. And then tonight at Voorhees High School, we have our Teen Pep Family Night. It's just an event that's designed to allow parents and their teens to discuss topics that may be difficult, such as trust, privacy, sex, and just growing up. And that's been very, very successful in the past, and I'm sure it'll be successful tonight.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, hi everyone. For North, I want to start with a shout out to the music program. So we just had our fall concert, and now we're starting with our winter concerts. That's starting December 12th. Thanksgiving, for Key Club, they're doing their Thanksgiving can fundraiser. It's a class competition, so the winners who can collect the most cans has an ice cream social at the end. Moving on to sports. Girls field hockey, they made it to finals. Unfortunately, they lost, but getting to that, to the finals is a pretty big feat. The Lady Lion cheerleaders won Hunterdon in Sussex. Cross country girls, they qualified for groups. They won sectionals first place. First in Hunterdon in Sussex, and this will mark their 10th sectional win in a row. In boys, Chase Cober he qualified for the Meet of Champions, and he raced really well. And as a team, they went 14th in groups. And that's it for our fall sports, and good luck for our winter sports. So we also had our North Hunterdon-Voorhees Leadership Summit. So this is something that we did last year just at North, and we wanted to extend it to obviously our sister school, and it went very well. We had students, they picked numbers out of a hat, and basically got to meet students that they wouldn't have already known. They learned how to talk and have restorative statements as a leader, things like that, being a better leader for their class. School spirit. So I actually have some pictures. So school spirit has been really, really doing good at North. We had our pep rally. We just had our friendship day, and for the milk can, we decorated our hallways. So we can pass these around. Yeah, our school spirit has really been at a high, especially with, unfortunately, the Sophia tragedy, obviously. The school has really unified together as a whole, as a community, and it's been really impactful. So Friendship Day. So this year we welcomed over 230 participants, formed teams through random selection to inspire students to lead with new friendships. While Friendship Day is a highlight every year, this year held extra significance. While with heavy hearts, we dedicated the event to Sophia de Torres, whose spirit truly embodied the essence of friendship. And in her honor, our Interact Club raised $3,000 to present to Sophia's mom, and that supported the impactful work of the Sophia's Shining Light Foundation. We also collect hundreds of toys and gift cards for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia for Kisses for Kyle. And these contributions will bring joy and support to many children and families facing the challenges of cancer. So we had that, and it was really, really successful. So we also had our blood drive today, and that was a really, really good turnout. I'm hoping we can get some pictures for that. Donated blood, and encourage you for the next time to come and donate. And we also have our thrift shop tomorrow. So that's something that my class officers started. We get money from, or get clothes donated, and we resell them for profit. And that money goes to the Up and Comfort Food Pantry and to our class. So that's it for everyone.
Great, thank you both. Very good.
One clarifying question, you said this was the second year of the leadership summit? Who runs and organizes that and bringing the groups together?
Mr. Masnako runs the entire thing. But yeah, we really wanted to start making that a bigger thing because we just started that at North, and being it's a second year, we really want to make that into a bigger thing because it can encourage and foster like new leaders.
Right. And then, but you were also bringing together leaders from both schools.
Exactly.
Together. I guess North hosted.
North hosted.
Okay. And no, that's great. I mean, anything that you can kind of continue to explore and build those bridges, I think is great.
Other questions?
I love the picture.
Yeah, pictures are cool.
Next, do you think we could bring the elf picture at the meeting? Maybe several copies. So we should have thought of that.
I'll have it for the December meeting.
That infamous December meeting.
Okay, Richard, report?
All right. So thank you to both of our student reps for a very comprehensive report. The disadvantage of me going after you is there's a lot of repeat stuff. But I think I have a few things to add. So I did want to mention that, the week of the milk can game was filled with a lot of school spirit. As both of our student reps mentioned, they decorated the hallways. They had their contest for the decorations. I believe seniors won at both schools, so sort of usually what happens. Both schools also had their pep rallies ending the day leading up to the milk can game. The milk can game was won by North, the 49th milk can game, the final score of 56-21. But for anyone that was there, saw that that game was a very competitive game. Athletes on both sides of that ball played very well, and it was a great game to watch. The score is not reflective of how competitive it was, but it was a great game, and I think everybody deserves some recognition for that. Also, I wanted to mention some more things just from sports, and some of these were already mentioned, so I can't remember exactly, but I'm going to go through my list here. At Voorhees, boys cross country, they won the North Jersey Group 2 sectional championship. That was the program's 8th in the last 11 years. They were also the Overland Skyland champions as well as Valley Division champions. For girls cross country, they won the North Jersey Group 2 sectional champions, which was the program's 4th in a row. Daphne Roskowski was the individual Skyland champion. They were also the Hunterdon Warren Sussex champion and the sectional champion. Boys soccer at Voorhees, the Skyland Conference Valley Division champions. They advanced to the North 2 Group 2 sectional semifinals. So they almost made it to the end of the state competition. For girls soccer, Ella Ortiz became the all-time leading career point scorer in school history. For boy or girl on soccer, with 175 points, she had 77 goals and 24 assists, and she's only a junior, so we have still another year to see some great things coming from Ella. In football, also at Voorhees, Matteo Tramutola is the new record holder for a single season rushing yards, 1,258 rushing yards, and 17 rushing touchdowns. So great year for Matteo. And as was mentioned by Sarah, our Unified Soccer won the Unified Cup, so that was a great ending to their season as well. So North Hunterdon, they also had a great year athletically in the fall. They were the Skyland Conference Divisional Champions in field hockey. So field hockey was the Skyland Conference Divisional Champions. Boys cross country, girls cross country, and cheerleading for the game day champion section were also the Hunterdon Warren Sussex County champions. So they all won their county championship, boys cross country, girls cross country, and cheerleading. And then girls volleyball and field hockey also were finalists in their state Group 3 sectional finals. So they both went very far. And then our girls cross country was our Group 3 sectional champions, and that is the 10th year in a row for the girls cross country at North. And then last but certainly not least, this year we had a first ever combined gymnastics team with North Hunterdon and Voorhees. North Hunterdon has always been a North Hunterdon sport for many, many years, but this year we had students from Voorhees that wanted to participate, and it became a district. This board voted to make it a cohort. NJSIA approved that as well, so it is now a district combined team. And the district gymnastics team did very well this year. They finished second in the Skyland Conference. They finished third in the state sectionals, and they had many individual accomplishments. So the individual all-around Skyline Conference first place champion was Jana Kawas. The last time North Gymnast won this all-around individual was 20 years ago in 2004, so it's quite an accomplishment. Individual bars champion first place was Alexis Ondovic, and there's never been a North Bars champion before, so that was a first of its ever. And individual vault champion was first place Truth Aponte. And our individual beam champion first place was, again, Janet Kawas. She had a great day that day. So congratulations to the gymnastics team and all of fall sports. That's all wrapping up, as our student reps mentioned, and now we're on to winter sports. So looking forward to that. Again, I think this was already mentioned, but food drives are currently happening at North Hunterdon Voorhees. I think they finished today, where they were collecting food, and they'll probably deliver the food tomorrow. Donations were given towards their grade levels so they can hold a competition between classes, and all donated items are given to local families in need during this holiday season. So thank you for students for those efforts. North Hunterdon Voorhees also, as we heard, had their recent plays. The Addams Family, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday shows at Voorhees, that was the Addams Family, were completely sold out. And there was just great community feedback that was very positive and enthusiastic about that program. And then North Hunterdon Theater Organization also had their production. It was called the Production Within a Production Play On. And again, the kids did a great job with the roles, and they put on excellent performances. And now I'm looking forward to the Unified program that will be coming up in December. We also had, just to add on, we've heard a lot about the elf costume, so I won't go into that, but more details on the actual event. There were almost 50 members of the Unified program from Voorhees High School that participated in this year's Dash and Splash by either running the 5K or jumping into the freezing ocean. Is there anyone that ran the 5K, or everyone decided to jump into cold water?
Sure.
There were runners too?
Yeah,
Okay.
there were a bunch of runners.
Excellent. Their excitement and commitment to this fundraiser earned them a spot on live TV, which the board I was able to share that with, but on Channel 2 News, there was a weather newscaster, I believe, that was there doing a live event on the just on the Dash and Splash, and somebody had mentioned, Voorhees High School, they always have a big contingent here, and so he went over and interviewed the student leaders and the administrators. It was great to have the whole group shot, and good to see that on live TV. Actually, Tim Fredericks, who's our consultant that we have working with us, he was texting me that morning and was like, "Hey, just saw your Voorhees students on live TV." So it was interesting that people were all over were seeing that. And then they did raise just over $13,000 for Special Olympics. They were also the highest team participation in the state, with almost 50 splashers running into the ocean. And two of Voorhees' own, Keith K.J. Steidel Jr. and Annie Traumatola, were recognized for raising the most funds in the state. So there's a lot more information on our website, but congratulations to all those students and to Mr. Peterson on that event. North Hunterdon did host their fall blood drive today. We were able to go up there. As some of you know, North has a long tradition of being named the highest donating school on the East Coast. So not New Jersey, not New York, New Jersey, like the entire East Coast. For high schools, they are the largest donor for New Jersey, New York blood services. So today, the number of donors have actually been down since 2017 is what I was told, but they had a resurgence this year. They had 455 signups to pre-sign up for blood drives, and that doesn't include walk-ins, which they also welcome. So hopefully they'll get closer to that 500 unit in a day goal that Steve DiLorenzo has had for quite a while. He hit 496 at one point, he told me, so he was 4 shy one year, so he's hoping he can get that. Hopefully tomorrow I'll get notice that he got that. But Steve was also recognized by New York Blood Services, New Jersey Blood Services, for reaching 20,000 cumulative units of blood in all the years he has been organizing the blood drives at North. So that is a tremendous amount of help for people that need it. And again, kudos to North and the National Honor Society who runs those blood drives. They do a great job with it. Again, as Shiva mentioned, for the first time this year, both schools came together. I didn't realize that they had run the leadership conference last year just at North, but this was the first inaugural North Hunterdon-Voorhees Leadership Summit, and I'm going to encourage that continues to happen for both schools, and I think it was great. We got to stop in and see some of the activities that were going on. I mean, just to give you a quick idea, some of the activities did was communicating through conflict, peacekeeper activities, there was final reflections, minute to win it, blind taste test, where they had to pick the correct flavors of their candy that were being passed around. There's just some cool, fun events and a way for these student leaders to get together and really show their leadership as a group and with each other. So we're going to encourage as many intra-school district events as we can. And again, North held their annual Friendship Day today, on Friday. This is just to give everyone an idea. This is a school-wide event where students are formed into teams with students from our special education programs and the larger student body. The teams then compete through a series of challenges that they accomplish at different stations throughout the gyms and theater area. It's always a great day that highlights just how inclusive our student body is. This year was, of course, dedicated to Sofia de Torres and her Shining Light Foundation, and they were presented with a check for $3,000 that they raised for them through the event. So just a huge thank you to all the students, staff members, Dr. Cottrell for making all this happen, but in particular Dina Marin, who's one of our special education teachers and our Interact advisor, and Dina puts in countless hours to make this happen. It is not an easy event, but it went off without a hitch, and it seemed like everybody had a great time, right? So thank you for all of that. So that was the exciting stuff. I have 2 more things. I have our report on harassment, intimidation, and bullying. We have 4 being reported to the board this month. Total, 3 were founded, 1 was unfounded. And then we would need a motion.
So we need a motion and a second to affirm the determination on the HIB incidents reported at the October 15, 2024 board meeting. Beth?
Second.
Dan? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
3 abstentions.
Abstain.
4
Okay,
abstentions.
let me just make sure I have it. An abstain from
Christina,
Cynthia.
Nicole, Kim, and Cynthia.
Cynthia, okay. I got it.
Okay.
Okay, and then the monthly reports are there for your review as well. I do want to take some. Do you have any? Is there any questions on monthly reports? Before we go on to Glenn's part.
No, I wasn't sure you were going to mention anything about like how you're reporting some things. Just making sure how like that the numbers and everything that we discussed a little bit.
It's got to come out in policy.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I think it's great. That's why.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, we did notice today, I would normally turn this over to Glenn now for the school board president's report, but we realized that 8.2 of his report, he is recognizing himself and John. So I asked Tara to help me with this as the vice president of the board, but I'll let you present the actual award to him. But I just want to say before Tara says anything that, Glenn's been on the board for 3 years and 2 months. He was actually appointed in October of 21 for a vacancy and then was duly elected that November and has served a 3-year term. Last year as board president. And I would like to thank you publicly for everything you've done for the board, for the community. It has been a pleasure working with you and you will be missed. So, And now on to board president.
So as a result of the November 5th, 2024 elections, we have the re-election of Dan Spanton and Tara Hintz. Dan for Clinton Township, Lebanon Borough, and Tara for Lebanon and Highbridge. So congratulations to Dan and Tara. And we have 2 new board members. We have Angela Infuso Dini, if I pronounced her name right, apologies, replacing John, and Richard Lordy replacing myself for Union Township. So congratulations to all 4 board members, or board members-elect, I should say. There's 2 meetings in January. There's the reorganization board meeting where members are sworn in and new board president and vice president selected. That's January 7th at 6 p.m. here. And then the regular board meeting is January 28th at 7 p.m. here. So 2 board meetings in January. So board members. So I guess first I'm myself, since I have the floor. So I want to personally thank the board, the administration, including Rich Burzak, Katie Ballou, Rich Braun, and Jeff Bender, our principals, Ron and Greg, certainly our wonderful staff, and John Camegno and his team for 3 enlightening years. I mean, everything in life is a learning and growth experience, and serving on this board has been no exception. I also want to thank the community for entrusting me with this position for the past 3 years. I mostly want to thank our students. I've commented many times to members of our board, to Rich, Katie, Jeff, Ron, and Greg, how impressed I am with the many accomplishments of our students. I will say, I think I was most impressed, and putting aside all the book discussions, we had hundreds of students stand before us, and I told you many times. Our students came before us and spoke with poise, with confidence and professionalism, right, and literally in front of hundreds of students and parents. And clearly, I told you, right, if there's any attestment to how great our schools are, it was really that event, right? That our students can stand up there and do that, and I frankly, that was probably the most amazing thing I witnessed. But again, thank you again to all of you. But more importantly, I want to give a special thank you to John Malick. John was elected to the Board of Education in 2013. He has served for 12 years. He has finally decided to retire from the Board of Education, at least for now. John has been instrumental in guiding our schools over these past years, having strong knowledge base in facilities and finance. John has played significant roles in our first and second referendums, in improvement to both football fields, to updates to our security systems, the Polytech expansion project, multiple contract negotiations, his guidance through the pandemic years, just to name a few. John has not always had the popular opinion, but more importantly, those opinions encourage open discussion before decisions were made. John is truly leaving behind a large void on this board with his extensive experiences, thoughtful insights, and rational oversight. Truly, on behalf of this and past boards of education, John, I want to thank you for your many years of volunteering service to our students, to our staff, to our administration and community. So.
I guess at this point I should probably.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to you. That was my next comment, John. So
I don't have prepared comments quite as elegant as Glenn, but no, it's been a pleasure to serve on this board to represent Tewksbury Califon. Just continue the legacy that started with my grandfather. He was on the original board back in 1952 when this school was built. My father's civic-minded. So I've been involved with other things, so it was a natural step. I was asked to consider running for a spot on the board. Here we are, 3 superintendents later, countless principals later, 2 business administrators later, and many, many terrific board members later. It's been a pleasure representing the town, but most importantly, being an advocate for the students who have been coming along, making sure that they get the same quality of education that I received from Voorhees back graduating in 1989. I look forward to watching this board perform good things into the future. So thank you very much. Bye.
So So moving on to public comment. During this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the Board of Education with comments. You are requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and to state your name, municipality of residence, group affiliation if applicable, and direct your comments to the school board president. While all comments will be considered by the Board of Education and a response may be forthcoming, if and when appropriate, individual school board members may not respond to the speakers at the time of their appearance. The public comment period will be a maximum of 30 minutes in length unless there are unusual circumstances. You'll be allocated 3 minutes to speak, and no one will be permitted to speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Please keep your comments respectful and non-defamatory and maintain the level of decorum appropriate for a public meeting where students may be present and in the audience. Any comments?
Greetings. Oh, sorry, my name. Since I'm the only one, can I speak for 30 minutes? All right. Policy 75. Dan Kleinman. I'm from Safe Libraries.
What was that?
Safe Libraries. An organization out of Chatham, New Jersey. Policy number 751, is there a timer that I'm supposed to, is there like a visual timer? All right. 7510, use of school facilities. I bring up this issue on the use of school facilities because Martha Hickson has tweeted that she will be appearing here with a librarian named Amanda Jones and will be speaking here during the executive session while you are in executive session. If she has not applied for permissions, paid the fees, done the insurance, done the forms, got the custodial staff ready and everything like that, put in a deposit of $100, then she may not speak here. I just want to let you know that the American Library Association has allowed these two people, Martha Hickson and Amanda Jones, to represent librarians nationwide on the issue of children reading, having access to inappropriate books in schools. We know in New Jersey there's a law 2C 34-3 about obscenity. Somehow you people all approved that book with the obscenity in it, and I filed an ethics complaint against you for having done that, as you know.
Can we stop the clock for a moment? Sir, I'm going to interrupt you, and we're holding your time, so I'm not on your time. But I want to caution
You that ethics matters are confidential. I believe that the School Ethics Commission advised you of that. So ethics matters are confidential. We're going to honor your right to speak. But I want to caution you in that regard. I also want to caution you that any statements which might be considered defamatory, individuals have individual rights. So I'm just addressing your last comment, and we're going to start the clock where we left off.
All right. So since Martha has said she's going to have this meeting here, I would just ask that you keep the camera on during the executive session and perhaps trained on the audience or wherever she is. If you don't follow this policy, then the Martha meeting is going to be illegal on the school grounds if you haven't previously followed it. You know, well, whatever. If you, I would advise, no, I'm going to leave that out because of you. I'll leave that out because of you. I just want to make sure that you're following the policy here, even if some people show up and decide to put on a meeting during your meeting, if they haven't previously come to you and gotten the proper permission under 7510. Now that I'm telling you ahead of time, you'll know this so that you can stop ahead of time if needed, or I'll have to take action accordingly. Thank you very much.
Mr. Flyman, that's yours.
I'm served.
Hi, my name is Doug Eaton. And thanks, council, for what you just said. I wish that was mentioned 4 years ago, so, you know, that was brought up 4 years ago and would have helped things out much more with all this book banning. Good evening. I'll make this brief. I have been coming to these board meetings for about 3 years now, maybe more. Thank you, Mr. Farbanish and Mr. Mielek, for your service to the community. I appreciate it. Thank you to the mainstream members of the board for your service to the First Amendment. And speaking of service, Mr. Kleinman, you've been served.
Sir. Comments have to be directed to the president.
Mr. Kleinman will be served. Thank you.
What the fuck was that?
Okay.
No
way.
You can't do that. What the fuck?
This is being recorded on television. Sorry.
Okay. Anyone else for public comment?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm Amy Barrett from Highbridge. On behalf of the North Hunterdon-Voorhees intellectual freedom fighters, I'd like to thank Mr. Farbanish for his service to the board. Over the past 11 months, he has been a voice of reason and moderation amid conflict both in the audience and among members of the board. He has also made a point of encouraging students to speak at board meetings. His loss in the recent election is a loss for the board and the North Hunterdon-Voorhees community. I'd also like to extend thanks to Mr. Mellick for his many years of service, especially leading the Finance and Facilities Committee. And I support the board's choice of Dr. Bergax as superintendent as a way of maintaining continuity for students and staff. Last month, the board was criticized during public comments for being under the shadow of an ethics complaint, which was mentioned again tonight. I know you can't address this in public, but since the person who filed the complaint posted on social media. All right.
Stop the clock, and I'm going to give you the same caution.
Okay. May I talk about the person who posted it?
Ma'am, we're not going to abridge your First Amendment speech rights, but I want to caution you as well that if you say something that is defamatory, the individual of whom you're speaking may have rights against you.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to start the clock.
Then I'm simply going to say,
in my opinion, the members of this board behaved ethically in following the district process for reconsidering a book, and the spurious complaint should not be considered a black mark against them. Thank you for listening.
Harlan Ettinger, longtime resident of Highbridge, New Jersey. I have 3 things to say. First, Mr. President, I want to thank you for your calm, respectful leadership of this board during very contentious times. It must have been difficult for you to maintain your composure amidst all the rancor. Second, and this is addressed to both returning and incoming members of this board, please do not engage in ego trips or attention-seeking behaviors that divert this board's time, attention, and energy away from the task at hand. It is your collective responsibility to ensure not only that every student in this district receives a thorough and efficient education, but also that they receive the best education that our tax dollars can provide. Finally, many of us are here tonight to show that we support the rights, needs, and aspirations of all North Hunterdon and Voorhees students, including students who learn differently, students of color, and students who do not identify or who are not perceived as cisgendered heterosexuals. All our students deserve to be seen, heard, and respected. I thank you very much for the comments you made about the students who turned out during the book banning controversy to speak their mind with such confidence and so articulately.
All our students should feel that they are valued members of this, our community. I hope that they will continue to be. And we will be here, board meeting after board meeting, watching what you do and listening to what you say. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Layla Zengel from Union Township. I don't have anything prepared, but I wanted to say thank you to our outgoing board members. John Malik, my goodness, 12 years. I knew you have been here for a while, but bless you. That is a huge commitment to our community and our students, and thank you very much for it. And Glenn, I also want to just publicly thank you for what's already been said, your calm, reasoned leadership, your investment and commitment to our students and community, and your perspective to seriously consider all the issues and questions that come before the board. And I feel very grateful to have had you in this position while my students have been here. And as a Union Township resident, proud to say that you have been representing us in Union Township. So I want to thank you. To the board as a whole that voted to hire a new superintendent, I also want to say thank you very much. I know you got the nitty-gritty of a local search that occurred recently and seemed much more extensive than ours. I want to acknowledge that outcome was the same as this one, right? And I thank you, those who supported that decision, for what you've saved us in time and energy and expense in a search project, and also what you have provided our students in terms of continuity and expertise and knowledge of this district, and just being ready to move forward and best serve them. So thank you.
I just want to say, my name is Stephen Piontek of Union Township. I just want to say that I used to be just a regular parent, and me and my wife and I, we took in a foreign exchange student, and that compelled me to see what was going on in the school. And the very first meeting I turned on was just some crazy meeting where some liberal mob thought it was okay to come and intimidate this very board that sits in front of me. And when I seen that, I was enraged, and I felt compelled to come here. And these people that say that we're gonna, maintain order and we're gonna watch you, this is bullshit, and this should not happen. Thank you. I'll be here every fucking meeting if I have to.
Please stop swearing.
I'm sorry.
Please.
I'm sorry. I'll be here every meeting to watch you. Sorry. I got problems. We're here for the kids, and you guys want to make it a political agenda. We got problems.
Oh. Gum. Sorry. Good evening. My name is Guy Citron. I just had political question, since we're talking about that. We have a president-elect, Donald Trump, who had... Sorry?
Sir, please direct your comments to the board president.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Thought I heard something. And this president-elect has said many times on the campaign trail that, and I think a lot of his cabinet selections as well have repeated it, that eliminating the Department of Education is a major priority. And if I'm not mistaken, I think North Hunterdon receives quite a lot of federal money from the Department of Education through a couple things, like
For example, Title I designation, because we do have a lot of students whose families are considered low income and they need extra support. I also believe it helps offset the costs of special education, because children with special needs, as you know, have different costs associated with their education. And furthermore, I think teachers get some benefits towards certifications to advance themselves in their teaching careers. And I think we're all aware that there is a teacher shortage nationwide, so that one's pretty serious. So my question is, how much are we receiving? Because I did some stuff online, and I come to these meetings very regularly. I know Mrs. Blue has done incredible, budget breakdowns, and the only thing online is from our previous superintendent, Mr. Bender, which essentially just says, we will let you know how much federal dollars we receive upon request. So I'm asking, here and now, how much money does North Hunterdon-Voorhees get from the Department of Education? And are we concerned if President-elect Trump's promise to take that money away comes true? Thank you for your time. And President Farbanish, you've done an excellent job, sir. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Thank you. So I need a call for motion second to adopt curriculum proposals, agenda items 10.1 through 10.4.
So moved. Second. Who's it? Christina?
Christina and
Tara, sorry.
Thanks.
So Beth, you'll give a readout of what these are, right?
Yep, do you want to do that now?
Yeah, why don't we do that now before we do a vote and people have questions?
Sure. So the curriculum committee met on November 20th, and everyone was in attendance. As President Farbanish mentioned, we had 4 curriculum proposals that were discussed at the meeting. The first was to move to an AP pre-calc class, up from the honors pre-calculus class to allow students to earn the AP weighting for the course. Another one was the ML English class, which would allow students who are learning English as part of the English as a second language class to combine an English class so that they can then take an additional class, so it combines the 2, ESL as well as English, into a single class, and then would allow for another class on their schedules. The addition of an Algebra 3 CP class, which would provide an option for seniors to take an additional math class that is a kind of a natural progression from taking algebra to CP and prior to that geometry CP. So they can take an additional math class in their 4th year if that's something that they want to continue with going into school. And then finally, a Latin 4 honors class, because the College Board is proposing a change to the AP Latin course that would make it difficult for our students to participate in that class, because we don't, the sending districts don't offer a Latin class in the middle schools. So this would allow for students to continue on and take a Latin class into their 4th year and still get the benefit of a higher level course. And so the committee is supporting the proposals, and that is what is up for motion right now. Do you want me to continue with the curriculum agenda? Or
Why don't we stop with those and we can do the rest afterwards?
Great.
So people have questions on those?
I was just going to...
We also have Rich's here too. So.
On the ML English, it noted that North Hunterdon, it would be offered at North Hunterdon High School. Voorhees would be coming here.
Correct.
So it would be a set schedule, because you have a drop and roll schedule. How's that going to work? How does that work?
The students that need those services will attend North Hunterdon.
They'll just be bused here.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had
That's what's happening now.
Okay. I just had 2 other questions. How math classes now? How many classes you have to take it for 3 years?
Yes.
So you're implementing, so the AP, correct me if I'm wrong, we're adding the honors pre-cal class because the AP classes become.
So honors pre-calc right now, Rich, jump in at any time if you want. It's my understanding that basically follows the AP curriculum right now anyway. So as an honors course, now we're turning this into an AP, getting it approved by the College Board as an AP course, so students can essentially take the course, take the AP exam and get the AP credit, or they could take it and not take the exam and it'll still have honors waiting in, essentially what it is now. But it's turning it into an AP course and getting it approved.
Okay. And we did talk about, I remember over the past years, we talked about, is there any way we can offset those costs for students? Because there's kids that take AP.
I agree with you.
I mean, my daughter took AP, it was everything, and it's expensive to do all those exams.
Yeah.
Is there something we as a board could be looking at to offset costs, even if it's just one? You know,
That's
I think it's something
to
to revisit. I mean, there's a lot of kids that just can't afford that and they don't take it.
I agree.
Isn't it the case that a percentage of that money goes back to the schools in the AP programs? I thought
It's a small percentage of, what is it?
$9
$9 that cost goes back to the school.
And I don't know what the cost is.
It's $100 per exam.
And then if you're a senior and you're taking the college credit as well, you're taking the AP and you're taking the college, we had to pay for that as well.
Exactly.
And we all did that, most of us, because if they didn't pass the AP exam with a 4 or 5, they still have the college credit. So it's a lot for these kids, and I think it's important, and I think it also brings in opportunity for more students to participate at that level.
Two questions. Well, I guess one, AP pre-calculus, is there really that much of a demand in college for, or they're honoring that credit? I mean, like you don't see AP geometry, because, you get into college, you're talking about calculus, and, that makes sense because that's a class that, where a lot of engineers and other people in the math world start. So I guess I'm a little surprised to see that there's an emphasis on AP pre-calculus, that many schools are actually honoring that. And that gets me to my second question, is that's the whole point of offering AP classes, is so the kids then can get college credits. So that's a cost savings for the families. So before we go handing money out, I mean, that's in my mind, that's the driving focus. I know I enjoyed that AP credit, so I didn't have to take a 4th class as a senior in college. I was able to throw that AP credit out there and have an easier time. So, before we start going crazy, reimbursing, they're benefiting from that investment, I guess,
It is a wise investment because I know I'm benefiting from it right now. But is there a scholarship program offered by the like RVCC or Seton Hall that gives the college credits that I don't know if there's to offset that way, or a scholarship program for the AP exam?
For concurrent enrollment, I don't know if there's any scholarship programs, but I do know if somebody shows need, we have, let them take the AP exam. We pay for AP exam for someone who has a need.
Could funds, I don't know if this is even, can funds be used from the Educational Association? We have a...
That would be up to the Educational Foundation.
It would be. Yeah, I don't know.
The other thing too is, just because I've been going through it with my son, we went and looked at the schools that he's applying to and whether the AP credits would apply for this, because he's taking a bunch of them this year, and a lot of the schools don't take them for some of the classes that we offer. So yes, I agree with you. There's definitely a benefit on some of them, like the math and those kinds of classes, but some of the other ones like psychology and government are not being accepted when they go and apply to some of these schools. So I just think that it's a shame to penalize students that are intelligent and have worked really hard because they can't afford to take some of these exams. It's just I think it's some type of scholarship program.
I'm just saying let's explore it. I'm not saying it's the way to go or not the way to go. it's something to explore. It's our students, and you have these programs, and I think this is great that Richborough is bringing these forth. You know, opportunities for everyone, and it is a lot. You have students. I'm sure you have a minimum. There's not a ton, but there's students that take 3, 4 AP classes, and then they're taking the college credit as well. I know my daughter did it, so we were fortunate enough she was able to afford that. But there are students that it's a struggle, and they say, I'm not taking the exam.
The educational fund, or the group association, that's parent-driven, correct? And community?
Yeah.
So I wonder if their mission...
I sat on it before I sat on the board.
Because if their mission statement and they do fundraising, maybe that would be something that...
I don't know how, are they still active? I don't know, I haven't heard anything from the I mean, occasionally I see something come across as a grant, but I haven't heard much from them.
Yeah, they still have some money that they're spending at North Hunterdon.
We had a donation on tonight's agenda.
Yeah.
Do we have one? I didn't even see that.
North Hunterdon is still active. I don't know I don't
Who's leading
know if
that
it's as
now?
active as it used to be, but I think it is still
used to
active.
be,
It
Voorhees,
was
I don't
that-
know. Ron, has anybody been
Yes.
working with the Education Foundation at Voorhees?
I haven't had any interest from parents in a couple of years with the foundation.
Yeah. But North is still active, and they're still giving us money for grants.
Is Dina Marin still working with the foundation?
Someone should be able to step back a little bit. Yeah, so North is still active, it's going to be monthly. Again, there's a grant on your agenda to approve tonight for a CNC machine. And if they run through a grant process, so it would be something that would be put forward as a grant, if that was the case, a grant that would fund a scholarship for HBC testing.
Just exploratory. I mean, I think we should look at it.
Oh, yeah.
I think the other part of that, like having taught AP, you know, the AP is a business, and certainly they have expanded their program offerings. Similarly, colleges are businesses, and they have increasingly not accepted more and more APs also because they realize that's a loss for them. I think, you know, there is obviously navigation to happen there because, to John's point, it is a benefit whether you're applying. In some cases, you're being awarded credit. In other cases, maybe if you're not being given credit, you're getting advanced standing and moving into elective level courses. I believe we do assist students who have financial need. I believe there is an avenue for them. Also, I believe we don't require students to sit for the exam, for the AP weighting that would benefit their GPA and their application process. So I understand students, you know, might have to make some decisions there, whether they're taking the exam or just taking the course. And increasingly, as we've seen, the dual enrollment has often been a more reliable indicator of college credit. And I know we have a number of instances where those courses are available and some of them mimic the AP. And sometimes that's the decision, going for the dual enrollment versus the AP. I wish there were an easy answer in navigating all of that, but it's a tricky landscape for kids and parents for sure.
I was going to ask the student reps, what do you guys hear about the AP exams? From fellow students? What do you guys hear feedback about the AP exams and the course credits, and how does that come across to the kids?
All right, so I would say that personally, like what I've heard from AP exams is they're hard. Sometimes they're really not worth the money. A lot of colleges don't really take many APs. So what I've talked about with a lot of my friends is, what's the point of taking the AP and taking the AP, paying for the exam, sitting for the exam, and then trying to get the credit, but then all of that for the college to not take it. So I mean, personally for me, I'm not taking my AP exams. I'm still taking it for my GPA weighting, but I'm not taking the exams because it's money out of me and my family's pocket for a chance for the college to not take it.
Yeah, for me, I only take my AP exams, and I know a lot of people do the same. If it's more of like an English or a math or a science where it's more widely accepted, but those other classes, I know for like there's like some AP like art independent studies that people are doing, or like AP psychology. A lot of schools don't take that, so people will just take it just because to have it on your transcript for applying, that's such a boost in your application process for your GPA and just for your rigor of your course curriculum. And then taking the test really isn't always necessary, just because it is the money spent, and especially if it's not something that's going to help you gain college credit in the future, it's not worth it. Now, if it is something that's going to gain college credit, it's 100%. I think it's a good investment, just because the price for the AP test is a lot less than the price to take that credit in college, but that really only applies to those AP tests that are those core classes for colleges.
Do we have a list from counseling department or some data of what colleges, the typical colleges that?
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah,
I
popular
do
colleges
different.
like the Penn State, the Rutgers, they're all.
I think it's a much more complex question. That it depends on
Yeah,
what
they're all
program,
different.
what school you're getting entered into, what college.
Right, what number you got on the exam.
Yes,
all that.
and then
Okay.
what you get on the exam. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of variables that go into that.
Sure, of course.
And certain schools, Ivy Leagues, a lot of them don't even take it. They don't take them.
I know some subject matter teachers will tell the students right away what colleges typically don't take it, so they have an idea.
It's probably easier for the
They get
students who
the
are
word
applying to
from
colleges
other
now to look at the
students.
schools.
Yeah, I
My
was gonna
daughter's,
say
my
that.
daughter's applying now, and we're obviously
I
gauging
expect
that.
those kids, when they're applying, they're checking that out.
Yeah,
They're
they're checking
asking
it
those
out.
questions in the department.
They are, but by that point, they're enrolled
But
in
they're
those
already
AP courses,
enrolled.
and then they want to see that rigor continue. If you took all AP courses up until junior year and then stopped in your senior year, that doesn't look good for a college either. They want to see that you're continuing that rigor. That's what they.
That's right, yeah.
And so they don't want to see that you took your AP courses up to junior year and then stopped taking AP courses and just sort of slack. So it's a. Yeah.
Can I, we are separating, right, whether we offer the class from whether they take the test, right?
Yes.
So the proposal is to offer an AP class, whether it's worth any credit when you get to college is perhaps because it's pre-calc, that's one reason it might not be, or for any other reason, but we still would, I mean, I'm supportive of having the opportunity there for people to take that class and have, it's on their transcript.
Yeah.
It's
and
still
that's
challenging
what
and
we're-
showing rigor, whether they take the exam or not. It's challenging, and it's, you know, it depicts a picture of their high school career. So whether they decide to take the test or not, that's an individual preference. I just
Yeah,
was-
to Shiven's comment, I can tell you from my daughter, right, who's applying now, that the colleges are looking at, right, the curriculum in general, right, and that is certainly being given in all.
And the high school, the rigors
Yeah,
of where
right,
the high
they're
school
looking at
is.
the class itself, not beyond the credits. So.
Yeah.
And I think Rich brought up the point that the honors calculus as it's happening now is being taught by the calculus AP teachers in many cases, and for all intents and purposes, except in name only, they are trying to deliver it. I guess it would be interesting to see that as it becomes an AP course, the students will have access to the AP classroom and the AP dashboard and the practice things that go along with that. I'd be curious to see if once instituted, do we see a payoff in AP calculus success? In other words, that kind of alignment, do you see a higher degree of success when kids are in the AP calculus? Because as has been noted here, colleges increasingly want a 4 or a 5 on that test as opposed to a 3.
That's definitely data we'll track. So.
And I have one more question, sorry. The Latin, I just curious, I mean, has it ever been talked about in, you know, at the round table with the Senate districts of offering Latin through? I mean, having Latin, you know, in those core formidable years, it's helpful. It rolls over into your language and context, and I just.
We talk about at Roundtable a lot about just them being able to find Spanish teachers for their middle schools.
Are we struggling? I know
That is very difficult, and you know, for a Latin program, it's again, it's difficult for us to find Latin teachers sometimes. We're very fortunate with the ones that we have. So, and to
It'd be
find those
great
at the
if we
middle
could
school,
find that. I mean,
it would
just
be
to-
difficult, I would think.
Especially all those any districts would be tough.
Yeah.
You have to be a district of almost this size to even have a Latin program.
Yes.
And it is interesting though, Kim, I know when I was on board at CPS, they experimented with some of the online language programs, and were affording students the opportunity to choose. And interestingly, my son chose Latin. I was kind of surprised at the time. He just did it for the 1 year and then he moved on. But where our K-8s certainly wouldn't be able to staff it, I mean, that might be an interesting conversation for roundtable, whether it's as enrichment or something else, whether those kinds of those programs, whether they have time in the schedule or the ability to offer more diverse linguistic experiences to kids before they
The
get
union
here.
experimented with doing online versions of Spanish, I think, and obviously it's a long time ago, I don't know. Then they switched back to teachers, I don't obviously know the current status.
Well, I think fundamentally the kids enjoy the teachers more
Yeah.
than any online program, and I'm certainly not suggesting that the online program would be a replacement. I was thinking more just in terms of enrichment. I know a lot of the K-8s will have win periods and things like that where kids can explore things. That's probably about the only space where schools could do it, but then I don't know what the price point is.
It's just interesting to hear when the kids go up to college, and then they say in contextual, they're looking at the years of Latin they had, and how, it assisted them. My daughter, my son, I don't know. Maybe.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right,
The kids know
right.
Latin. Both my daughters
I mean,
took
we
4
took it,
years
right?
of it. I never
Yeah.
took it, but both my daughters
Yeah.
took it and can't have benefited greatly from
I
it.
mean,
Both
especially if
will
you're
tell
a journalism, communications major, news media,
Medical.
medical.
Yep.
They're all using those, and I just,
bio.
yeah, right, so,
We had 4 years.
I don't know, just
Yeah.
putting it out there.
So I think my only comment is just make sure you try to give a heads up to the 8th grade students that if they're
We have
going
it.
into Latin, they may not be on an AP trajectory versus French or German or something else, right? That's probably the biggest problem, that these kids are coming in 8th grade and not
How are they
realizing-
achieving an AP status in French, German, any other language? Because we only have 4 years to offer it. So how is it that it's only 4 years? The Latin is only honors and not AP, but we're still only teaching French for 4 years. Do we
It's a
have an
switch,
AP
right?
French program or an AP
They're
or is
not
it
going
honors
into
French?
any French or German either.
We
It's
don't.
only Spanish.
Okay, so it's only
Yeah.
honors and the only one is Spanish
It's
because
only
you come in
Spanish.
Spanish because they teach Spanish.
Occasionally, we'll get somebody coming in who knows French as a native language or something like that, but other than that, it's just Spanish.
Okay. Thanks, Rich.
And we have great teachers for, the Latin teachers are fantastic.
Very
They are.
Very fortunate, yes.
All right, any more questions on that, or? All right, so I need a roll call vote on 10-1 to 10-4.
Ms. Cagno?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Cotran?
Yes.
Mr. McIsaac?
Yes?
Mr. Mueller?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes? Yes. Ms. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Spanton?
Yes.
Ms. Beato?
Yes.
And Mr. Furbanis?
Yes. Okay, Beth, the rest of the curriculum.
So we also talked about, as part of the monthly reports, the number of students that were leaving for homeschooling. But, in general, what we found is that it may be that when students are homeschooled until 8th grade, and then they come to the high school, and then in some instances, they may switch back to homeschooling. So while it wasn't a significant number, we have seen those numbers across the board at each of the different months. There was also a discussion around the nursing plan that was on the agenda, and talked about the fact that there are more CPR certified staff members at Hunterdon-Voorhees. A lot of that was tied to the fact that all the gym teachers have to be certified in CPR. Coaches, and it's a bigger program at North versus Voorhees, so that there is a little bit of a difference there. And then finally, the school calendar is up again for approval, because when we approved it at the last meeting, an extra day was included, so now we're going to be removing that extra day, and we'll be approving it again at this meeting. We also talked about PSAT results. We had asked Rich to provide us with some information as a comparison to the NJSLA presentation, and the numbers, were really, they were good, but what we're finding and what was kind of noticeable is that the students know that if they don't do well on the NJGPA, the proficiency test to graduate, they know that they can use the PSAT as a mechanism for graduation. So they really tend to work a little bit harder to perform better on the PSAT than they do on some of the other standardized tests. So we'll be looking at the 2024 PSAT results, which we should have gotten fairly soon, so we'll probably review them during the January curriculum meeting. Finally, we had discussion about AI because it is a standing item. We talked a bit about whether we've seen any kind of increases in plagiarism or inappropriate use of AI in schools. We will note the fact that we used AI to do a transcription of our meeting, which was very helpful for purposes of the minutes. So that was good, but we're not aware of any such increases. But we're going to really, I think the thought was to start teaching and educating the students more about ethical AI use and where it's okay to use it and when it's not, so that the students better understand the consequence of using it inappropriately. And then finally, we talked about the half days and notifications to parents ahead of time so that they can be reminded that there is a half day and that and also to communicate to parents about what the staff is doing during the professional development on those half days where there's professional development being offered, which we really liked that idea. And we also talked about aspects of special education in the district, including students on IEPs and the percentage of students with 504 plans, generally the type of the proficiency rate of those students as they continue to matriculate through the schools. And I think that was it.
Questions? I mean, Brenda, you've made a comment I still think is a good one. At some point, trying to holistically take all of these test scores and look at them, right? I know we look at them as they come out, which is good, but at some point during the year, I still think it's a good idea to try to look at them holistically to get an overall gauge. Because I think, like we said before, some of these tests, maybe while they're important, are misleading, right? When you look at them together, maybe we get a better picture. So I do think that's an idea to maybe look at next year for planning.
And part of what I was thinking there too was that if those presentations could be part of the meetings as opposed to just in committee, it just gives a bigger audience to kind of see those metrics where our kids are being quite successful, be it AP, PSAT, SAT.
The other thing I just wanted to note was the fact that there was an excellent program that Rich told us about that took place on Veterans Day at the schools. And that's the kind of communication that would be great for us to have with parents so that they know some of the activities that are happening on days when they may have otherwise expected students to be home from school. But if they're in school and we have activities that are tied to a particular holiday or observance of something, I think that it's really positive for parents and the community to know that that's taking place too.
Good. Okay, so I need a call for motion and second to approve agenda items 11.1 to 11.4.
So moved.
Tara?
Second.
Beth? Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Okay, so moved. Kim, policy.
Yes, policy met on November 18th. Everyone was in attendance except for, unfortunately, Glenn was in a meeting. We talked about, we went over school suspension data, our monthly reports. Rich Berjak shared data that the schools are tracking regarding the types of discipline and also the types of suspensions. We discussed how a student who receives an ISS and an OSS for a single infraction counts as 2, which I think all of us did not know, so I think we're thinking big numbers. We're going to look at the feasibility of adding the amount of monthly cumulative suspension days to the monthly report. It would just be another metric. The data is already being utilized by administration to monitor suspension trends and actions in both schools. We discussed the rampant use of vapes. That was someone had brought that up, the usage, and some strategies to offset that, or that we can employ to prevent their use. Administration will look into how vape sensors work in the bathrooms, because that was a question, because we as parents don't really know that. And the efficiency, how it can be improved. Administration will continue to collect detailed suspension data and to ensure accurate application of the code of conduct and keep us updated of that. And the second item was NJSBA policy manual conversion update. Rich met with NJSBA on November 6th for an update. NJSBA policy department has had some emerging issues they were busy with after workshop and so forth, so kind of slowed. They're working diligently to complete the policy manual. They said they hope to have it completed by the new year, if not before, fingers crossed. They have worked on sections 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 6,000, 7,000, and 9,000. And they're pretty much completed. They're different than, they're not, the numbers are not going to be the same. They are currently working on the last two sections, 4,000 and 5,000. Let's see, due to the overlapping subjects covered by Strauss Esme manual, both of those sections are approximately halfway completed. So we'll see. In addition, they have been proofreading as they've been going along, so to save time and steps for us. And they will be in contact with Rich, and they hope to have a meeting for mid-December. Anything else to update?
No, that's pretty much where we're at.
And last business, other business. We did, someone brought up the issue of Form 338 for HIB. Rich went into depth explaining it, to how they track reported HIB cases, and he went through the steps of reporting forms on our website, and you can go onto the website and see those. And the use of Hibster to track cases, and finally the reporting and appeal process for parents and board members. So it is on, you can go see that on the website. Is that it? Policy?
Questions?
When our policy manual is complete, what's the next step? You're saying that we meet with NJSBA? Do we meet as a board? Is it populated into our
No, they're going through
website?
They're going through all the policies, transferring, because they're not identical to ours.
Right.
They should be hopefully finished by January, and then at that point we will have to take the whole policy and adopt and go through them. That's the discussion we've been having, that how we're going to implement, correct?
Yeah,
That's what I have a question about. We meeting everybody, or the board policy committee, or so we'll have a separate meeting probably to go over.
Well, we'd have to accept. We have to.
We have two options, the way school board has presented it to me. And this will be up to the policy committee that will be seated in 2025 on how they want to proceed. One option is to, as a board, accept the policy as school boards is presenting it to us, based on their expertise and their knowledge and what they say they should do and their complete review. Then we go through it over a few months to look at specific policies that might be relevant to just our district, to determine whether or not the language is sufficient enough, or we want to change some things, we want to tweak some things, and then change policy as need be from there. That's option A. Option B is, as a committee, review that manual section by section before we adopt it as a board. Once the policy committee feels like the language is appropriate in that because they've reviewed it, then present it to the board for adoption. So again, that's going to be a discussion we'll have in January, and once we have the new policy manual with the new policy committee and decide what direction they want to go, and then they'll make it.
So what exactly happens, just based on the language around the overlap with Strauss Esme? Do they have, I guess I was under the assumption that NJSBA would just give us the policy. And so I guess what they do is they do a cross comparison against what our current policies are. Is that what they do?
In most cases, they're giving us their language for that policy.
Okay.
So in a lot of situations, it's 3 or 4 policies that Strauss Esme might have that school boards has condensed into one policy that addresses all of those.
Okay.
So the policy manual will be a lot shorter, a lot more succinct.
I see.
But there are policies that are specific to just our district.
Right,
For instance,
right.
like who gets to attend Northern Voorhees, Clinton Glen Garden,
Right.
things like that are very specific to our district, and they have to go through and find all those specific items to make sure that they are getting the
I see.
language correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the question is kind of, we suspect there might be some editing. I mean, there's always, one of the jobs of the board is to continually look at the policy and refine as, so that's it's an evergreen process. But once you're going to adopt it, like, pull one out and put the new one in. You can't have it half and half, or a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So if we adopt it right out of the chute, then whatever it says is our policy.
Right.
And if there's some, we don't have any reason to believe, and I don't have any reason to believe there's something like egregiously out of whack with our way we want to run the district. But if there is, it's our policy. Until we address it the next meeting or whatever. So we're still, Kim is good, that her committee will look, well, I guess actually it's
Whoever
the
the policy.
Once reorg happens, then we have a new policy committee.
You kind of edit it and then adopt, or adopt and then edit.
Okay, sounds good.
Other questions? Okay. John, finance?
Great, thanks. Yes, we had a short meeting. Everybody was there on the 18th, with the exception of Tara. The first item of business, we had a discussion regarding the VA's office, and I guess in January you'll see we have an interim VA who's been working towards an interim VA to replace Katie when she's out, and then also another opening in that office. So no action on tonight's meeting, but we were discussing it at our committee meeting. Then essentially it was just, after that, it was just all agenda review. You'll see on here the STEM grant is being reapproved based upon updated hourly rates, based upon our new contract with the teachers. Then you see some closeouts on remaining capital projects, some of them from the referendum. This is money that's left over that'll be returned to the budget. Also, we're joining a co-op, purchasing co-op out of Belleville, Second River Purchasing Cooperative. And then AmniFlex will be replacing our health equity as a district FSA provider. That's flexible spending accounts. So we're making that change as well. And other than that, it was all just the basic monthly reports that we spoke about. So it was a very brief meeting. Any questions?
Okay.
I have, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
I have a question about the Voorhees Booster Club's corporate sponsorship. Did they actually get a Microsoft Xbox sponsorship?
I had the same question. It is somebody who works for Microsoft. They made the donation and wanted that logo as the banner. So I don't know what the relationship is, but it's somebody who works for Microsoft too.
Okay, I just have a little concern about using third-party representation like that without absolutely knowing that it's been authorized by the company.
We'll look into that before it goes up.
Okay.
Do you want to mention 13.2?
Well, I just wanted to mention 13.2 is appointing a foreign consultant to do our strategic plan. I think that is going to be a really important part of the school year. And I want to make sure that everyone knows, we did our due diligence with looking at all the places that replied to our RFQ, so that we had all the information from them. 4M did a fabulous job in the examples they gave us. They are all retired school administrators conducting the plan. I believe the principal of the company will actually be working on ours. So I think we're going to get a lot of expertise and a lot of direction from that. So I think it'll be a good process.
I was just curious about the donation of the CNC machine. Like, is that donated to a specific program? Like, where do we have CNC machines?
It's in our tech ed program, but Greg, do you want to speak specifically to where that's going to be at?
Yeah, it's in our Tech Ed program in the STEM lab in room 126. Mr. McKinnon and Ms. Waddell leads that as part of their program there. Yeah, David applied for the grant through the Education Foundation, and that foundation approved it.
Awesome.
Other questions?
Would you be able to tell us where school boards fell in 13.2 when you were looking for
Yeah.
options?
Yes, absolutely. So school boards, while they did put a proposal in, they have two options of that they offer. One is called the 3D model, which is sort of a shortened version of the strategic planning process. That's what we did last time. Since we have lapsed a year from that, I didn't want to use that version. Their next full version was very competitive with what 4M offers. The difference with 4M is they gave us really good examples of the plans that they have done in the past. So we were very impressed with what the product that they already showed that they would do for us. And number two, I thought it was important to have somebody with school administrative experience conducting that plan and developing that for us, because they understand the inner workings of the school, community, people that are all going to be part of this plan. So.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Do you remember what other schools they have participated with?
Well, the plan that they gave us, 4M, that they gave us, that, as an example, was from LePacon.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was very comprehensive.
Okay.
Yeah, I've mentioned before, right, I know you're trying to try to get the sending districts with size, right? But I mean, Mr. Lordy can attest to, Union's going to go through potential massive size increase that's going to probably affect your 5-year plan. So.
Yeah, the demographer is currently collecting data from us and our sending districts, and is working on that demographic report. We hope to have that information prior to the beginning of strategic planning, so we can use that to determine some of our goals moving forward.
When do they project that to be? What's an ETA on that?
I haven't had an update, but their original proposal was 4 to 6 weeks, and so 6 weeks brings us to the beginning of January. So before the end of the school year, but again, since the holidays are right in there, it's probably going to be the beginning of January. That's what I'm expecting.
When regarding the 4M consulting, anytime any kind of RFP goes out or any kind of information goes out for bidding on certain things like that, kind of a silly question, but like, did they give you references of other districts that they worked with? And
yeah, okay. That's all part of it. And again, this was Tim Fredericks, who's the consultant that we hired to work with us. He really led this, and he did his due diligence, gave me his recommendations. I looked at everything to make sure that I concurred with what he was recommending, and I agree that he felt like 4M was going to be the best place to go.
Good. So we need a call for motion and a second to approve agenda items 13.1 to 13.16.
So moved. Second.
And Jess. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes?
I will approve everything but 13.8 until we definitively know.
Is that a no or an abstention?
It's a no.
Thank you.
Community Relations and Student Affairs, we didn't meet this month, but we do have the 14.1 that we need to vote on tonight, and it's our standard approval for overnight trips. And on this 14.1, we've got the Voorhees cheerleading going to Orlando, the Voorhees wrestling going to the tournament in Atlantic City, and the Voorhees Ski Club on a ski trip to Brattleboro, Vermont. And the processes were all followed for these overnights, and in the past, we usually recommend to approve them.
I just have a question. Is North, we'll
Yes,
get there later.
they were already approved.
We did
Yeah.
those, okay.
They were already approved.
And do the kids get, at least for those days, is it an excused absence and with work? How did that are they losing classroom time? How does that?
They do lose classroom time if they're not here for school. They are expected to make that up just like any other athlete or anybody that misses school for a school event. It's an excused absence for us. The state doesn't recognize it as an excused absence, so it's, when it comes to our state data,
Yeah, that's there. Okay.
But with the exception, I do want to say North does not do an overnight ski trip, so that you didn't approve that, but you already approved the cheerleading and the wrestling.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay. So a call for motion, second to approve agenda item 14.1 for the overnight field trips.
So,
Beth, Jess, Nicole, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Okay. Delegate reports? Tara?
Not yet. Our delegate assembly is December 7th, so, and it'll be in the new year, or at that infamous January board meeting.
Kim?
So we have upcoming, just to let everyone know, there was an attendance, and I'm going to send it to everybody. It was Mastering Board Operations and Parliamentary Procedure, it's great for onboarding. 11/27, which is tomorrow, there's a fall legislative update, and there's been new updates. They just had it at the Hudson County meeting. It's at 10 a.m. And then December 9th, Passaic County School Board meeting. It's harnessing the power of public relations, social media, and tech. And Maren Smagala had done one and did a podcast, so you might be interested in that. It was good. December 10th, Union County SBA meeting, taking a deeper dive into the budget process and development. And then I know these go into January, just to put on your schedules. January 27th, Somerset Hudson County meeting, what you need to know about the board secretary's report. And then January 30th, that is our Hunterdon County BA meeting, SBA meeting, and it's strategies for budget management, advocacy, and funding solutions. So Katie should be yay.
And on the legislative, they're fabulous to take. And when we have updates to any of our policies, school boards will bring it forth, so we know right away when we're looking at our policy what changes and what would be mandatory. So those are always good ones.
They just won't have the delegate updates this month, but you will in January.
Yep.
So.
Good. Questions?
I'm not sure if I missed it, but next Wednesday is also the Hunterdon County School Boards Association JP case, another one of those training. So.
Yeah. And there's a couple AI ones on there coming up in other county meetings you might be interested in. They were
So, yeah.
different topics.
Yeah, the one that's local, I know, is JP case next Wednesday, I think,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Good.
Personnel?
We met on the 20th and we discussed the personnel agenda.
Perfect. I need a call for motion and second to adopt resolution 112624-2 for executive session to discuss matters falling under category 7 and 8 as reflected in the attached resolution. The board expects to be in executive session for approximately 1 hour, and upon return to public session, action will be taken. First, Beth.
Second.
Christina, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and noes? We're in executive session. Call for a motion and a second to reconvene public session.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second. Sorry.
Got it? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're back in public session. Okay, so I am going to call for a motion to approve agenda items 19.1 to 19.3 and to include hand carries 19.4 and 19.5. 19.1 is item P112624, the personnel agenda from November 26, 2024. 19.2 is to approve executive session minutes from October 15, 2024. 19.3 is to approve executive session minutes from October 28, 2024. 19.4 is to approve a settlement agreement as discussed in executive session this evening. And 19.5 is as follows. The board hereby again adopts, ratifies, and affirms the employment contract between the board and Dr. Bridget Burjax, approving Dr. Burjax as the superintendent of schools as approved by the executive county superintendent for the period November 20, 2024 through June 30th, 2028. So I need a call for motion and a second to approve those items.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan? Okay, I need a roll call vote.
Ms. Cagno? So yes for 19.1 through 19.4, and we're repeating, so 19.5 would be a no vote.
Okay. Mr. Chapman?
Yes to all.
Yes to 19.1 to 19.4, no to 19.5.
Ms. Hinz?
Yes.
Ms. Cotran?
Yes, to all.
Mr. McIsaac?
Yes to all?
Mr. Muehlink?
Yes to all.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes to all except 19.5 would be no.
Ms. Salino?
Abstain 19.2, 19.3 and 19.4 yes, and 19.5 no.
The abstention was
So,
for 19.2.
19.2?
Yes.
No
Everything-
for 19.5, yes on the others.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Got it.
Mr. Spanton?
Yes.
Ms. Beato?
Yes to all.
And Mr. Parbanish?
Yes to all of them.
Okay. Motion carries in all.
Okay. Old new business.
I have old business. General question. We discussed about Voorhees, about the Wi-Fi. And we discussed this a couple times. I did get a message from a constituent that I guess there was an issue at Voorhees where the kids were kind of like, not on lockdown, but they were put into a gym situation because there was an issue going on within the school. And I guess one of the kids was upset and went to text the parent, and there was no connection. And the student was very upset.
We're talking about cell service or Wi-Fi?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I was told Wi-Fi.
Okay.
That was the word given to me. So I don't know. There's not great cell reception up there.
Yeah, I think
Like I
that's
was just
usually the
there
issue.
for the market on Saturday, and my daughter was couldn't get a call in. So maybe it was, if there's no cell reception, you would think that the Wi-Fi would pick up a call or a text message, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think students' personal cell phones are allowed to connect to our Wi-Fi. So that's the issue. If there's not cell service, then they wouldn't have service.
Right, so I guess that was the question, since there isn't the greatest cell service in that school compared maybe to North, and I guess there was an issue by a parent was upset because the kid could not say, hey, we're in lockdown, we don't know what's going on, type deal.
I'll follow up with G.
All right, thank you. Sorry, G.
And I just have two things. Is there any way, I just posing, I know we watched the band, it's getting smaller, but it was great to see the North and Voorhees in the parade, and it's really a great program. What about strings? There's a lot of kids that do.
We have strings. We have an
Oh,
orchestra.
yeah.
Do we have a strings teacher, or it's just one teacher who?
No, we have a teacher who specifically conducts the orchestra. I can't speak for Voorhees, but at North, we have the strings program, and there is a teacher that specifically teaches the orchestra.
Because that's fabulous. Do we have it at Voorhees?
I don't believe they have it at Voorhees, and I think it's a numbers
Mr. G
thing.
does both
Yeah.
at Voorhees.
Yeah.
Oh, senior strings too?
He does, yes.
Okay.
He
good.
does, okay, that's
Yeah.
fabulous.
And the nice thing
Excellent.
about Voorhees is they have even introductory guitar class, so.
Yeah, because
if
I
you
know
go
a
to
lot of
freshman,
Indian
you can
districts
learn how to
do
play
not.
guitar.
They
Yeah.
do
Fabulous
not have
course.
strings,
I know.
so that's huge.
Clinton Township
Township has it.
does it.
The other,
Yeah, I know.
and it's hard because they have to go private,
Yeah.
and then,
It's
you know, or
expensive.
they're not doing it and they pick it up, to pick it up in high school is difficult.
Yes, that, yeah.
So,
Districts don't have that, all of them don't have strings.
Mhm.
And then I forgot to mention, December 4th is the Hunterdon County SBA meeting. It's 6 o'clock, it's 6:45 virtual, and it's Bridging the Gap Professional Development and Curriculum. So I don't know if there was people that wanted to do that, you might want to go. Steve, done.
So I've been reaching it, right, so one of our board objectives of the year was to do board norms, so I've been emailing with Patty Reese, and because our calendar's tight, and if we don't do it sooner, we're going to be in the middle of next year. So do you all have a preference? Her dates are filling up in January, so I would suggest you pick the second meeting in January or the first meeting in February. I'll keep copying you if you want. But if you don't start talking to her, you're going to be into like late spring. So my suggestion is I will keep conversing with her to get a date. But what date do you want?
Would it be at the January board meeting?
I don't think she can do the 6th because I suspect, I'm gathering she's full. It sounds like maybe she can do the second meeting in January.
The 27th?
20,
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
28th.
I'd say the sooner the better, wouldn't everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I can suggest to her the 6th, but I don't think she's going to,
It's actually the 7th, yeah.
The 7th, I'm sorry. I keep
Yeah.
wanting
Yeah.
7th.
But that's a bit overwhelming for all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. So then I will tell her, I will-
Full meeting.
And especially if we end up adding,
yeah, okay, so I will tell her the 6th. Is there a preference on time? 6:30?
you mean the 28th?
I'm sorry, this is
Yes.
20th time. The 28th at 6:30.
At 6.
So a half hour prior to the meeting?
Half hour prior? Sure. I think,
If
okay.
a half hour is all it takes.
Right?
As I said, they usually want an hour for something like that.
Yeah,
Usually
yeah,
probably
6.
says
Wanted to start
6
at 6,
o'clock.
But we
Yeah,
can
6
check which time she needs. And
Yeah, based
It'll
on
be
how
6 or
much time
6:30.
she needs, either an hour or 45.
All right, so I'll keep copy you guys, right? But I'll tell her the second meeting date in January, starting at 6, unless she thinks she only needs 30 minutes.
Probably from like 10 to 11 PM before.
Yeah, we're all here,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. I think we'll lose her otherwise in the late spring. Okay, anything
I
else?
did just want to see if there was an opportunity. I know Dan, Christina, and myself were able to attend school boards at future meetings, maybe where we can share a little bit of some of the sessions we went to and some of the things that might inform or help with some of the strategic planning, particularly as we go into that.
That would be great.
The only thing I wanted to mention, I didn't want to correct Chevron when he was here, but the North Hunterdon Music Program is, the first concert is on December 5th, and the second concert is on December 12th. So just, they haven't had the first one yet.
Oh, did he say they what?
Yeah, he said they had it.
Yeah.
I think they had that
Yeah, the
Future Lions.
The Future
Yeah,
Lions,
Future Lions, yeah, they did,
Seemed
yeah.
really successful. That was good.
And then at the Friendship Day, Voorhees hasn't picked up on that?
No, but again, each school has their own things that have evolved.
Yeah,
over the years.
yeah.
Friendship Day became a huge thing at North. Voorhees has other things that are just as huge.
Yeah,
but-
no, no, no.
Yeah, that water plunge they don't do at North.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I don't see Greg dressing up as an elf to jump into the water.
I paid to see that.
It was good. I saw the
Concerns we've heard
broadcast.
over the last 2 years
Yes.
about students not
My
being
girlfriend's
aware
son
or
was in that
involved.
year.
It seems to have corrected itself, and there's a huge surge for
Well, it looks like they're pulling
participation.
everything together
Yeah,
instead of separating it. It's like,
Exactly.
and that was
Yep.
my biggest
So that's so great
concern.
to see.
I also liked the integration day that they had at
The leadership?
Voorhees. The leader, yeah, well, no,
Oh,
where they meet with the freshmen to see how
Mhm.
it's going.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Be something great to also do at North
Right.
if they're not doing something.
Do they still do that with the 8th graders too?
They do.
Go down
Again,
to the schools and talk and
Yeah.
take field questions and so forth?
again, Voorhees has a specific club that focuses just on ninth grade transition. North does it through their peer leaders,
Okay.
but they don't have a specific club.
But they
that
still
focuses
do
just
do
on
it.
They still do it, yes.
Good? All right. Call for motion and second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions? We are adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
There you go.